Good morning, everybody. It's Vidette, obviously. I wanted to come on here. I'm just walking out the door to get my day started. Today is Wednesday, May 3rd. And boy, the force of May is here. The force that is May. It is, I woke up this morning and the energies were so big. So I could already feel them when I got out of bed. So big. And I went and grabbed my phone because my alarm was going off. So I shut the phone off and I had two alerts and two solar flare alerts. And I thought, that's what it is. That's what it is. We're getting good at knowing when the energies are coming in, right? I know for me, I'm getting pretty certain, pretty confident. Most of the times I don't go checking any technology anymore because I don't feel like I need to. Sidebar, I were my peacock earrings for those of you who are in Storehouse Social. Storehouse Social is like my house, my home. I've created it to be the place that that I am creating in physical reality. And as I create it, I invite people in. And this last week, we just had another minor solar flare. Another alert just came in. That's 3 in the last couple of hours, y'all. So, like the big presence of May, there's so much to say right now. The big presence of May, uh, it's we've got to pay attention to it. We've got to tune into it because it holds a lot of potential, and it holds a lot of potential to lift us up and rise us up, and it's got the whole potential to like plow us over. So that's why us as pioneers of consciousness, as I always say, those of us who are aware and know what's happening in this time, that this is such a sacred and special time for us to be alive. And it's not just like, oh, be grateful to be alive, yes, but this is a once in an every 26,000 year cycle we're living in. And for those of us who are aware of it, it's the coolest thing because it is such a subtle energetic shift. It feels subtle, but it's really not. It's really not because many of us have had some pretty intense lives and pretty intense last few years. So, going back to Storehouse Social, this I built out a theater, and I'm calling it Supernal Channel Theater because the supernal channel is what I call my intuition. It's a channel. It's supernal to all. It's the portal between. Uh, the spirit world and the real world and reality. It's not the real world. It's reality world that we see. So um, we are we are we are coming alive in a different way in May. So this to me is feeling a lot like um it's feeling a lot like our supernal channels are coming into their I don't think it's the full. I don't think we can handle that yet. They're expanding very quickly. And how they're expanding, our supernal channels are our connection, our communication to the unseen realm, to the realm that does, to our guides, to our teams, to those our ancestors, to those who are helping us along the way on the other side of the veil. That communication system, meaning the veil is getting thinner and thinner. I can really feel that. I can feel it so clearly. And all last month in the storehouse, I kept saying, "There's a really big presence. There's a really big presence that I'm feeling." And I was, articulating it as best I could in the different ways that I share in there. And when I made different ways in different rooms, each room of the storehouse has a different feel. Each room, if you think of your home, you think of yourself, you have a different feel. When you go into your bedroom, you melt into a more intimate space. When you go into the bathroom, you go into dump, right? You dump out your densities, cleanse yourself. When you go into the kitchen, there's nourishment there, there's sustainability. It's everything this storehouse symbolizes for the within us. So I've built out the storehouse to be a reflection of that, to be a virtual reality of my home. And I'm inviting you into my home. I'm inviting you into Is one of them is the Supernal Channel Theater, where the other day on Sunday, I invited people into that room to do a reading of May, to go into May. And the reading was all about going beyond the mind. May is taking us beyond the mind. And there's two subsets of experiences with that, two extremes of the experience. When we go beyond the mind, for those of us who have been practicing to go beyond the mind, go beyond anything you've ever seen, anything you've ever been taught, and go down the rabbit hole. Go look at things. The pioneers are those who are willing to go explore what's out there beyond the mind. And we've done that spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. So that's an exciting thing to anticipate. The potentiality of May holds the ability to go beyond the mind in the most sacred and the most soulful ways possible. For those who haven't practiced that, for those who like to keep things as they are, to stay in the knowing of their mind, whatever their mind knows based on what their experiences have been thus far, they don't want to go beyond. They want to stay with what they know. So they live in a flux of past experiences to the present, past experience. They go back and forth into the past, and a lot of that past is weighed down by trauma and emotion. So it's a heavier, denser expression. So going beyond the mind for someone who doesn't want to change the mind, who doesn't want to go beyond the mind, going beyond the mind is an extremely scary and intense experience. So it's going to be an interesting May. I had to come in here because as I'm waking up on this third day of May, getting ready to get my day started, I kept just feeling pulses of energy, and it's like tangible almost, like I've always been able to sense energy, but now it's becoming where I can feel it pulsing through my body. I can feel the light of it coming through. And my solar plexus and heart were like pulsing together. So this is becoming a very physical experience in this ascension process, in this evolutionary process we've been in. So far for me, it's been mostly a mental and emotional experience, just, going beyond the mind, changing the programming of the mind, this has taken years. And then of course in the heart, in the emotional traumas, releasing those, being in the process of suffering. So let me just speak to that real quickly. What I mean by that, suffering has always been for me being in anxiety. Anxiety was an entity that just hung on to me day and night, and I lived with it. I learned how to manage it naturally. I didn't turn to pharmaceuticals because I've never really trusted that. I've never trusted that, and so I've had to learn to manage the entity of anxiety, which was the entity of the old matrix, the old the corrupted system that we have been ingrained to, tied us to that entity. And I adopted it in the expression of anxiety. And the normal thing to do in that is to have us plugged into whatever expression of suffering we choose. Mine was expression, and then from there, the solution is we have a prescription for you, and you take that prescription, and it ties you in to another entity for a long time. And so then there's then illness and side effects come, and then there's another entity that gets to come in, which is more of the medical. So all of the sudden, before we know it, we are attached to a lot of entities. And what's happening now is we are vibrating out. For those of us who are shedding all of that, shedding and letting go, and working on the mental and emotional constructs that we have been taught, and releasing all that brought me anxiety, releasing all that brought, constriction. And that's been years worth of a process, because with everything that we let go, the truth of the matter is that we are okay without it. you know, we are fine without it, but going through the process of getting to that and coming to peace and being like, you know what? I'm actually better off. I'm better off without that. I'm better off, whenever, life punched me in the face at the end of the lesson, I've always gotten to, and I've had some shit go down just like you. Things that like have punched you in the teeth and knocked you down to your knees where you're like, what the hell just happened? My life just fell apart. That's happened several times to me, man. Like, God damn it. I swear I've picked a big soul lesson. But every time I've gotten to the lesson when I've spent time with it, and it's taken me years on some of this and been like, wait a minute, this whole time I'm better off without that, and like it seems such like a logical understanding, but to embody it, to have your whole body emotionally, mentally not fighting, like, oh, I'm better off without it. No, you're not. You need that person. You're dependent on them. We built a dependency, or no, you don't need that job. That's not the only way that you can earn a living. And da, 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 da. So cleansing all of that, getting this to peace so that my heart then can release the thing that was creating, the anxiety, to create the attachment to the job or the person, that had anxiety, so all of this releasing has to go on to get to peace here. And then once we're in peace, hi Patisse, dog just ran up to me, hi sweet boy. Once we're at peace, then we can really embody, our whole body then takes in that light and says, we're better off. Now what? Let's go experience something even better than that. And we go in a direction, then we're at a healthy point to then move in the direction of a new relationship, a new, new job, new whatever it is that you're, a new way of work, because that's coming in for a lot of people in May, completely like different shift in what you've ever been doing. So how May is going to deliver this energy to us in reality is the interesting thing. It could bring you anxiety if you're on one side of the experience of May, or it could bring you like that anticipatory, like excitement. You don't know what it is, but it feels really good. That's where I am. Like, and I am feeling very clear that May is bringing lots of changes. You can go. I mean, you're invited to come into the Storehouse, y'all. Like, there's a free entryway. Come and visit. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to invite you into my home. And you can support it if you want to come into my home and bring something with you in the form of, paying $20 a month. What I'm doing in Storehouse is bringing people into my home, and each room has something special for you. Each room has, I have a meditation room. If you are having a day, you can come into the Storehouse and go into the bathroom and dump that shit out. Leave it out. Get it out. Expose yourself, dump it out there in the Storehouse virtual bathroom. And we all hold space, everybody, consciousness, because that's how I've set it up. Hold space for anyone who dumps out in the bathroom, and in that same opportunity is the opportunity to just cleanse when you're complete and you come out of the bathroom virtually, mentally, and emotionally dumped out. You feel lighter, and you have been blessed by the Storehouse. That's what this is. I think the link's down here somewhere. It's on my YouTube channel, or Instagram. So that's what Storehouse is. It's you. The Storehouse is always within us. And here's what's happening. The Storehouse is getting, if you think of the Storehouse as that inner essence of you that is always expanding, always rising. You are the unique expression of, it is the unique expression of God, universe, spirit, in physical, in essence, and that essence has become and expressed as you, the personality of you. So this Storehouse is the essence of who you are, and it gets its updates through energy, through the energy we pulse, we pump to it. So throughout our lives, if we're pulsing just, fear to it, it shrinks. It almost dies. It eventually does, because fear is so constricting. It eventually constricts, the body, and you die, you transition, you know, or you rise up and you continue to store or provision the storehouse of your essence by being in joy and love and expansion that feeds and deposits things into the storehouse, and the storehouse rises, it expands. The death of the denser you happens, but you expand up into the rebirth of a lighter you. And that's what's happening right now. We are in the transition of the denser you into the lighter you, which is why you may be suffering. So if you're suffering in May, it's be with it. Allow your heart to speak to it. Allow your heart to recognize it. Allow your heart to release it. This is when the release is going to happen in a really, really big way. And whatever is wanting to be released and expressed in May, it is a massive, massive divine step in your ascension journey. So go with it. Just go with it. If your heart is feeling it and you say, God, this is dropping out of my life, or this is coming into my life in such a way, I know this is divinely ordered. And it may or may not be totally pleasant, but it's there to allow the suffering to subside. We've gotten another solar flare, a moderate solar flare just now. It's pretty powerful right now, y'all. That and these supercharges of gamma rays, these scalar rays are coming in and washing through us into our DNA. I kind of see it like this, like then the DNA gets a little bit more open, it gets a little, it opens up a little more and sends even more more of our messages that come through our cells. It comes through our body. Our bodies start to embody these new messages, these new higher intelligence of messages coming from the DNA update, and it gets to our brain and our minds, and we process them until we understand them, because we're aware that something new is here. What is this? And we come into alignment with it, allow it to expand, and as it expands, it becomes a new idea, it becomes a new understanding, it becomes a new insight, it becomes that thing in May. The big presence in May is just, it's the your higher self coming into full expression, because it has to. It is triggered to the surface in whatever way, where we're all on a different place in our journey. So how it expresses is going to be different for everybody, but May is going to be a really exciting month in a lot of different ways. So let me help you. Let me soothe you and ease you during May. Come into my home. Come into the expression that is me. My true passion, my true purpose is to be a caretaker, to take care of people. And I've never expected to be paid for that, which, I haven't. And that's been a, shameful part of my life. The financial part has been, not fully expressed, because I've never expected payment. If I want to care for somebody, I just do it. So I've created Storehouse Social to be a virtual reality of a place that I can care for people in the way that I know how. And that is to invite you into my space, and let's have conversations of deeper conversations of meaning and life, and let's explore the mysteries of life. Let's talk about and experiment with how we create a life that is beyond anything we have ever known. Wouldn't that be fun to experiment with? I think so. So that's what I do in my house. And I'm inviting you to my virtual house. Let's do it. And every time you come into the storehouse, I've been in another room, updating it, giving it a refresher. So when you go into that room, there's fresh new, there's a story, there's a meditation, there's a supernal channel reading. There's always something for you to nurture your spirit. That's how I try to have my home always be open and inviting for people. And that's what Storehouse is for me. So I invite you over to the Storehouse, into my home, and let's have some deeper conversations. Let's experiment with some good life, and let's let the storehouse fill us from the inside out. Happy May, you all. I'm happy to be here. I'm here on a early morning in the mountains. It's kind of overcast today, but it feels really beautiful and it feels really sacred today. So I'm glad I got to get this live in. I just came on live because it was easier than recording and uploading and doing all that crap, because YouTube's been a pain in the neck lately. So it hasn't today. I'm grateful it's still here. For those, I know I had some people on, so thank you and welcome. I'm sorry that I didn't say it right when I saw it. I was just kind of in a flow. So have a great one, everyone. I'll be back here in Peace Talks. But until then, come visit me in the storehouse, okay? See you there. Mwah. Bye. How do I end this thing?